The Betrayal at Titan's Edge, the stars above Titan's station burned like scattered diamonds against the black void. But Captain Maya Chen had no time to admire their beauty. Her fingers flew across the tactical display as enemy ships poured through. The hyperspace gate like angry wasps from a broken nest. The Korath Empire had finally come, and they brought death with them. All stations, battle positions. Chun's voice echoed through the command center of Titan Station, humanity's most advanced military outpost. Around her, officers scrambled to their posts, while warning lights bathed everything in urgent red. The station's massive defensive arrays came online with a deep thrumming hum that vibrated through the metal floors. But Chen wasn't alone in this fight. The Galactic Defense Pact had promised support, and she could see their ships on her screens. The sleek silver vessels of the Valkyrie Empire held position on the station's left flank, their energy weapons charging with blue-white light. To the right, the bulky warships of the Thraxian Collective bristled with missile pods and plasma cannons. Valkyrie flagship responding, announced Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station. Admiral Veltar confirms his fleet is ready to engage. Chen nodded grimly. The Valkyrie had been humanity's first contact with alien civilization, and their advanced technology had helped Earth develop faster than light travel. Their leader, Veltar, was known throughout the galaxy as a brilliant tactician and had personally vouched for humanity's inclusion in the Defense Pact. Thraxian ships report ready as well, Rodriguez continued. Prime Commander Thrax sends his regards and says that Korath will regret this day. The Thraxians were different from the elegant Valkyrie. Where the Valkyrie valued art and science, the Thraxians respected strength and honor. Their rocky crystalline appearance made them look like living mountains, and their ships reflected their nature heavily, armored and built for close combat. Chen allowed herself a moment of confidence. Titan Station commanded the only stable hyperspace route to the inner systems. If they could hold it, Earth and its colonies would be safe. If they failed, the Korath would have a clear path to strike at the heart of human civilization. Enemy fleet emerging from hyperspace called out Sensor Officer Parks. Holy ... Captain, I'm reading over 200 ships. The tactical display lit up with red dots as the Korath fleet fully materialized. Their ships were ugly things, all sharp angles and weapon ports, designed for one purpose: destruction. At their head flew the massive dreadnought Bonecrusher, a ship that had already destroyed 3 alien homeworlds. All allied fleets, this is Captain Chen, begin coordinated attack pattern Delta 7. We hit them hard before they can organize. The battle began with streams of light cutting through space. Titan Station's main guns spoke first, sending massive plasma bolts into the enemy formation. The Korath ships scattered like startled fish, but their return fire was immediate and devastating. The station's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the incoming energy. Chen watched her tactical display with growing satisfaction. The plan was working perfectly. The Valkyrie ships danced around the enemy flanks, their superior speed allowing them to strike and retreat before the Korath could respond. The Thraxians charged straight into the enemy center, their heavy armor shrugging off return fire as they closed to ramming distance. Valkyrie reports successful strike on enemy supply ships, Rodriguez announced. Thraxian boarding parties have taken to enemy cruisers. For 30 minutes, the battle raged with the fury of unleashed stars. The combined fleet was holding its own, even pushing the Korath back. Chen began to think they might actually win this impossible fight. Then everything changed. Captain Parks called out, his voice tight with confusion. "The Valkyrie ships they're pulling back." Chun's blood turned to ice. "What do you mean, pulling back?" "All Valkyrie vessels are withdrawing from their positions. They're leaving the battle zone." The tactical display showed the truth of it. The silver ships that had been dancing around the enemy were now accelerating away from the fight, their engines burning bright as they fled toward the hyperspace gate. "Get me Admiral Veltar," Chen demanded. Rodriguez worked frantically at his console. "No response, Captain. They're not accepting our communications." Chen stared at the display in shock. Without the Valkyrie providing flanking support, the Thraxians were suddenly exposed. The enemy was already redirecting their fire, and the heavy Thraxian ships, built for close combat, were taking a beating. "Thraxian fleet is requesting immediate support," Rodriguez reported. "They're taking heavy casualties." Chen was already moving. "All defensive batteries, target the enemy ships attacking the Thraxians. We can still salvage this." But as she gave the order, the impossible happened again. The Thraxian ships, damaged and smoking, suddenly changed course. Instead of pressing their attack or calling for help, they too began to withdraw. "What the hell?" Chen whispered. "Captain," Parks said, his voice barely above a whisper, "the Thraxians are also leaving. All ships are moving toward the hyperspace gate." Chen watched in horror as humanity's allies abandoned the battle. The Thraxian flagship, Stonebreaker, was already disappearing into hyperspace, followed by the rest of their fleet. Within minutes, the combined alien fleet that had sworn to defend Titan Station was gone, leaving only the human defenders to face the full might of the Korath Empire. "All human ships, this is Captain Chen. Close ranks and prepare for concentrated enemy assault." The response was immediate. The dozen human vessels that had been supporting the alien fleets moved to form a protective screen around Titan Station. They were brave ships with crews who knew their duty, but Chen knew the math. 12 ships and 1 station against 200 enemy vessels was not a fight they could win. "Captain, incoming transmission," Rodriguez announced. "It's from the Korath flagship." The main screen flickered to life, showing the horrible visage of a Korath commander. The alien's face was a mass of writhing tentacles surrounding a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding metal. "Human commander, you have been abandoned by your allies. Surrender your station, and we will grant you a quick death." Chen stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. "This is Captain Maya Chen of Titan Station. We don't surrender, we don't retreat, and we sure as hell don't run when our friends are counting on us." The Korath commander's tentacles writhed in what might have been amusement. "Your friends have already run, human. They made a deal with us, safe passage in exchange for leaving you to die." The words hit Chen like a physical blow. A deal. The aliens hadn't just abandoned them, they had sold them out. The Defense Pact, the alliance that was supposed to protect all member species, had been nothing but a lie. "You're lying," Chen said, but even as she spoke, she knew it was true. The timing had been too perfect, too coordinated. This wasn't a battlefield retreat, it was a planned betrayal. "Check your long-range sensors, human. Your allies are already jumping to hyperspace. They will not return." Chen nodded to Parks, who quickly ran a scan. His face went pale. "He's right, Captain. All Allied ships have left the system." The Korath commander's tentacles writhed again. 15,000 human soldiers will die today because your allies valued their own skins more than their honor. Remember this as you burn. The transmission ended, leaving Chen staring at a blank screen. Around her, the bridge crew waited for orders, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. These were good people, trained soldiers who had volunteered to serve at the edge of human space. They deserved better than to be abandoned like this. Chen looked at her tactical display one more time. The Korith were forming up for their final assault. In minutes, they would attack with everything they had. Titan Station shields were already weakened from the earlier fighting, and her small fleet couldn't possibly hold off such numbers. But she had one advantage the Korith didn't know about. As the station's commander, she had access to the most classified human technology, including the prototype quantum communicator that could send messages instantly across any distance. Rodriguez, open a channel to Earth Command. Maximum encryption. Channel open, Captain. Chen took a deep breath. What she was about to do would change everything. Earth Command, this is Captain Chen at Titan Station. I'm transmitting complete tactical data on the Korith fleet and evidence of alien betrayal. The Defense Pact is a lie. The Valkyrie and Thraxians have abandoned us to die. We're about to be overrun, but this data must reach Admiral Sarah Torres. Tell her that the old rules are dead. Tell her that humanity stands alone now, and we need to act like it. She paused, watching the Korith fleet begin its final approach. And tell her that Maya Chen died knowing that this betrayal will be answered. Every ship, every station, every world that turned their backs on us today will regret it. We're not just going to survive this, we're going to make them pay. The transmission ended just as the first enemy weapons reached Titan Station. The shields flared and died under the massive bombardment. Hull plates began to buckle as the station's structure groaned under the assault. Chen looked around at her crew one last time. They were still at their posts, still fighting, still believing in something bigger than themselves. That was the human way to fight, even when the odds were impossible, to stand even when everyone else ran. All stations, prepare for ramming. Speed, she ordered. If we're going down, we're taking as many of them with us as we can. The last transmission from Titan Station reached Earth 3 hours later. It contained detailed scans of Korith technology, complete records of the alien betrayal, and a message that would change the course of galactic history. Admiral Torres read it twice before calling an emergency session of the Human Defense Council. The old Maya Chen had believed in friendship between species. The old Maya Chen had trusted in alliances and treaties, but that Maya Chen had died with Titan Station. What survived was something harder, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. The evidence of betrayal spread through human space like wildfire. The aliens had shown humanity exactly what they thought of them, expendable pawns in their political games. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had assumed that humans would accept betrayal the way other species did, with resignation and fear. They didn't understand that humans were different. When humanity was betrayed, it didn't just get angry, it got creative. Admiral Torres stared at the tactical reports one more time. 15,000 human soldiers dead. Titan Station destroyed. The hyperspace route to Earth now controlled by the Korith. By every measure, it was a disaster. But Torres was smiling. Because buried in the wreckage of Titan Station, the quantum communicator had recorded something the aliens didn't know about. The complete technical specifications of every ship in the Valkyrie and Thraxian fleets. Their weapons, their shields, their propulsion systems, everything. The aliens thought they had one. They thought they had broken humanity's spirit. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. 3 months later, when the first human strike force hit the Valkyrie border colony of Zerion Prime, the aliens finally understood what they had unleashed. The humans weren't playing by the old rules anymore. They weren't asking for help or forming alliances. They were taking what they wanted, one world at a time. And they were just getting started. The reckoning begins. Admiral Sarah Torres stood in the command center of the newly constructed battleship Titan's Revenge, watching the holographic display of Zerion Prime rotate slowly in the blue light. The Valkyrie mining colony was a perfect target, isolated, lightly defended, and rich with the rare minerals that powered their advanced technology. More importantly, it was a symbol of everything the aliens had taken from humanity. Status report. Torres commanded. Captain Marcus Webb, her chief engineer and former survivor of the Titan Station massacre, stepped forward. His face bore the scars of that terrible day, plasma burns that no medical technology could completely heal. But his eyes burned with the same cold fire that had driven humanity's transformation over the past 3 months. The stealth fleet is in position, Admiral. 12 ships, all equipped with the hybrid technology we reverse-engineered from the Valkyrie data. Their sensors won't detect us until we're practically on top of them. Torres nodded approvingly. The technology had been a gift from the dead. Detailed scans of alien ships recorded by Titan Station's sensors before its destruction. Human engineers had worked around the clock to adapt and improve the designs, creating something the aliens had never expected: human ships that could match their technology while exceeding their tactical flexibility. Dr. Kim, what's the psychological profile on the colony? Dr. Sarah Kim, the mission's specialist in alien psychology, consulted her tablet. The colony houses approximately 50,000 Valkyrie civilians and a garrison of 5,000 soldiers. Intelligence suggests they still believe the defense pact is intact. They have no idea that humanity has discovered their betrayal. Torres smiled grimly. The Valkyrie had been so confident in their deception that they hadn't even bothered to increase security at their border colonies. They truly believed that humanity would accept the loss of Titan Station and move on, just as other species had done when betrayed by their so-called allies. Excellent. Begin the operation. The stealth fleet moved like shadows through space, their hulls coated with adaptive camouflage that bent light around them. The technology was based on Valkyrie designs, but human engineers had improved it, making their ships virtually invisible to conventional sensors. Captain Webb commanded the lead ship, Ghost Strike, from its bridge. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. Many of them were survivors of various alien betrayals, not just Titan Station, but smaller incidents over the years where human settlements had been abandoned or sold out by their supposed allies. Approaching the outer sensor perimeter, reported the navigation officer. Colony defenses are still inactive. Webb allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Valkyrie were so arrogant they hadn't even bothered to post proper guards. They assumed their technological superiority would protect them from any human retaliation. All ships begin Phase 1. Disable their communications array first. I want them cut off from any possibility of calling for help. The human ships moved with deadly precision. Silent torpedoes launched from their tubes, guided by targeting systems that had been enhanced with captured alien technology. The Valkyrie communication station exploded in a brief, brilliant flash, its debris scattering across the colony's upper atmosphere. Communications down, Webb reported. They're blind and deaf. Torres watched the tactical display from her command ship. The first phase was complete, but the real test was yet to come. The Valkyrie had powerful defensive systems, and their soldiers were trained warriors. But humanity had advantages the aliens couldn't imagine. Dr. Kim initiates psychological warfare protocol. Kim's fingers flew across her control panel, broadcasting now, Admiral, across every communication channel in the colony. Human voices began to speak, but these weren't the voices of diplomats or politicians. These were the recorded last messages of the soldiers who had died at Titan Station. The voices of men and women who had trusted their alien allies, who had believed in the Defense Pact, who had died alone and abandoned. This is Sergeant Michael Rodriguez of the 3rd Marines. If anyone receives this, know that the Valkyrie abandoned us. They left us to die. They broke their word. This is Lieutenant Commander Janet Park. The Thraxians are pulling back. They're leaving us. After everything we've done for them, they're leaving us to die. This is Captain Maya Chen. The old rules are dead. Humanity stands alone. Make them pay. The psychological effect was immediate. The Valkyrie had known about the betrayal, but they had never heard the human voices, never understood the personal cost of their political maneuvering. Some of the colony's defenders began to hesitate, uncertainty creeping into their movements. Phase 2, Torres ordered. Selective strikes on military targets only. Let them see what human precision looks like. The human ships emerged from stealth like apparitions materializing from the void. Their weapons spoke with deadly accuracy, each shot carefully calculated to destroy military installations while leaving civilian areas untouched. The Valkyrie soldiers found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. Captain Webb led his ship through the colony's defensive perimeter, his weapons targeting the shield generators that protected the military compound. The human torpedoes punched through the energy barriers like they were made of paper, their warheads specifically designed to disrupt Valkyrie technology. Shields down, Webb reported. Moving to secure the command center, the ground assault was swift and brutal. Human soldiers, equipped with power armor, reverse-engineered from Thraxian designs, stormed the colony's military installations. They moved with the precision of veterans, each squad led by survivors of alien betrayals who understood exactly what they were fighting for. The Valkyrie garrison commander, a tall alien with silver skin and elegant features, tried to coordinate a defense from his command bunker, but his communications were jammed, his weapons were malfunctioning, and his soldiers were demoralized by the psychological warfare. Surrender, he broadcast on all frequencies. We surrender. Please, we have civilians here. Torres received the message on her command ship. For a moment, she considered the irony. The Valkyrie were asking for mercy from the same species they had left to die at Titan Station. Accept their surrender, she ordered, but make sure they understand the terms. Webb led the team that entered the command bunker. The Valkyrie commander stood with his hands raised, his elegant features twisted with fear and confusion. Around him, his staff waited nervously, unsure of what to expect from the humans they had betrayed. I am Captain Marcus Webb, he announced, his scarred face visible through his helmet's transparent visor. I survived Titan Station. I watched my friends die because you broke your word. The Valkyrie commander's eyes widened in recognition. The Defense Pact. It was a military decision. We had to protect our own people. Webb stepped closer, his voice cold and steady. So do we. The difference is, we don't lie about it. The occupation of Zarian Prime was swift and efficient. The human forces took control of the colony's infrastructure, its mining operations, and its advanced technology. But they also did something unprecedented in galactic history. They kept their word to the civilian population. The Valkyrie civilians were relocated to safer areas of the colony, provided with food and medical care, and given a choice, they could remain under human protection or request transport to other Valkyrie worlds. Many chose to stay, shocked by the contrast between human behavior and what their own government had told them to expect. Dr. Kim conducted interviews with the civilian population, gathering intelligence about Valkyrie society and psychology. What she learned was both enlightening and disturbing. They genuinely believed that betraying allies was normal. She reported to Torres. In their culture, political survival justifies any action. They can't understand why we're angry about Titan Station. Torres studied the reports with growing understanding. The aliens weren't evil. They were simply operating under a completely different moral framework. To them, sacrificing human lives for political advantage was just smart strategy. They had no concept of honor, loyalty, or the human idea that some things were worth dying for. That's their weakness, Torres realized. They think in terms of immediate advantage. They don't understand long-term consequences. The next phase of the operation began 2 weeks later. Using the resources captured from Zarian Prime, human engineers began constructing a new class of starship. These vessels combined the best of human engineering with adapted alien technology, creating something that was greater than the sum of its parts. The Retribution-class cruisers were faster than Valkyrie ships, tougher than Thraxian vessels, and armed with weapons that could penetrate any known defense. But their greatest strength was their crews, humans who had been forged in the fire of betrayal and emerged stronger than before. Word of Zarian Prime's fall spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The Valkyrie government tried to dismiss it as a minor border incident, but the other alien species began to take notice. The Thraxians in particular grew nervous as human. Ships began appearing near their territory. "They're getting scared," Webb reported from the bridge of his new command ship. Intercepted communications show the Thraxians are reinforcing their border colonies. Torres smiled. Fear was a powerful weapon, and the aliens were finally beginning to understand what they had unleashed. For generations, they had played political games with smaller species, sacrificing allies when convenient and expecting no consequences. But humans were different. When humans were betrayed, they didn't just get angry, they got organized. The second target was announced 3 days later. Crystalline Station, a major Thraxian trade hub that controlled access to 3 star systems. The station was heavily defended, with a garrison of 20,000 soldiers and a fleet of 30 warships. "This one won't be as easy as Zarian Prime," Webb warned during the tactical briefing. "The Thraxians are warriors by nature. They'll fight to the death." Torres nodded. "Then we'll give them the honor they crave. But we'll do it on our terms." The attack on Crystalline Station was a masterpiece of human tactical thinking. Instead of a direct assault, the human fleet engaged in a series of hit-and-run attacks, drawing the Thraxian defenders away from their fortified positions. Each engagement was carefully planned to maximize enemy casualties while minimizing human losses. The Thraxian commander, a massive crystalline being named Rokta, grew increasingly frustrated as his forces were whittled away by an enemy that refused to engage in traditional combat. The humans fought like shadows, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the Thraxians could respond. "Stand and fight," Roktar broadcast on all frequencies. Face us with honor. The human response came from Torres herself. We learned honor from you at Titan Station. You taught us that honor is a luxury we can't afford. The psychological warfare was different with the Thraxians. Instead of guilt, the humans used the aliens' own warrior culture against them. They broadcast tactical analyses of every engagement, showing how Thraxian forces were being outmaneuvered and defeated by supposedly inferior human technology. The effect was devastating. The Thraxians prided themselves on their military prowess, but the humans were making them look like amateurs. Morale began to crack as the warrior culture that defined their species was systematically dismantled. The final assault came after 2 weeks of constant harassment. The human fleet struck at the moment of maximum psychological impact, when the Thraxian defenders were exhausted and demoralized. The battle was swift and decisive, with Crystalline Station falling within hours. But the real victory was what happened next. Instead of destroying the station, the humans began broadcasting a message to the entire galaxy. The transmission was sent on all frequencies, to every species, every government, every individual who could receive it. Torres appeared on the screen, her uniform crisp and her expression calm. Behind her, the captured Thraxian station bustled with human activity. To all species of the galaxy, she began, her voice carrying across the void. Humanity has learned a valuable lesson. We learned that treaties are worthless when signed by those without honor. We learned that alliances are meaningless when forged with those who value convenience over loyalty. She paused, letting the words sink in. We also learned that we are stronger alone than we ever were with false friends. The Defense Pact is dead. The old rules are dead. From this day forward, humanity takes what it needs and protects what it values. The transmission continued for 10 minutes, detailing humanity's new philosophy. No more begging for help. More trusting in alien promises. No more accepting betrayal as the price of membership in galactic society. We are not conquerors, Torres concluded. We are survivors. But we are survivors who remember every slight, every betrayal, every moment when we were abandoned by those who claimed to be our friends. And we will never forget. The message ended, but its impact was immediate. Across the galaxy, alien governments began emergency sessions. The humans had done something unprecedented. They had rejected the established order and created their own rules. And they were winning. In the months that followed, more human fleets appeared throughout the galaxy. They struck at targets that had been involved in the betrayal of Titan Station, but they also protected human colonies and shipping lanes with unprecedented efficiency. The aliens began to realize that they had made a fundamental error. They had assumed that humans would react to betrayal the way other species did, with resignation and acceptance. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous, a species that had learned to trust only itself. The old galaxy, with its complex web of alliances and betrayals, was dying. In its place, a new order was emerging, one where humanity stood alone, but stood stronger than ever before. And in the depths of space, on ships named for those who had died at Titan Station, human crews continued their patient work. They were taking back everything that had been stolen from them, one world at a time. The aliens had taught humanity a valuable lesson about the nature of galactic politics. Now humanity was returning the favor, teaching the galaxy about the consequences of betraying a species that never forgot and never forgave. The reckoning had begun, and it would not end until every debt was paid in full.